UPod Street is an official affiliate of Birdland Sports. Visit birdlandsports.com/UPodStreet, and 10% of your order will go directly to supporting the pod. Use code UPodStreet at checkout, and you'll get 10% taken off your order. Now sit back, relax, and keep that beer cold, because it's on to UPod Street. What is up, Birdland? I'm just some guy that had a lot of really bad luck this week with going to games, Jimmy Horn. And joining me, as always, is the brunette Thor himself, Jack Bain. Jack, I want to wish you and your family a very wholesome and happy Merry Clinchmas.
It's been a while since we've been able to say that.
7 years. 2016.
I was sophomore in high school.
I hate you. 2016, I was 24.
I'm not even that old yet.
You're the worst.
Close.
You're the worst.
Close. They should like in our podcast description, you should add Jack makes fun of Jimmy's age all the time.
See, the thing is, that's why I like always wear a hat too, is because of all the gray hairs. Like they kind of poke out, but it's not as bad as like when I just don't wear a hat. But it'd be really bad. The comparison between the two of us if I wasn't wearing a hat right now.
Yeah. Well, that's not fair, you know. I haven't had a haircut in 4 years, so
yeah. Well, the good news is, I mean, I'd rather take gray than balding.
True.
Because I'm not losing my hair. I am not losing my hair. I'm just rapidly going gray. And
Will you lose your hair? Is that in the genes?
No. No one that is like related to me is bald.
Nice.
So I will always have a nice thick head of hair, knock on wood.
Is anybody on the Orioles bald?
Well, you have a couple guys with shaved heads.
But DL Hall doesn't count.
Well, no, I'm not saying DL Hall. I'm talking like doesn't Aaron Hicks have a shaved head?
Oh, yeah, I think you're right.
I think he does.
I think you're
Hyde
right.
does.
Yeah, I was thinking just players.
I don't know if you're I was gonna say you're probably thinking players, but Brandon Hyde does.
I'm thinking it's just
Flaherty,
all right, well,
maybe?
Hard to say.
Maybe. It's hard when they all wear ball caps all the time. See, they're doing my trick. Wear the ball cap and you can't tell.
Unless they're in a champagne shower.
Wasn't
that electric, dude?
Shower.
Like obviously we're like getting a little ahead of ourselves here in the podcast line. But dude, just like watching, and I love the Kevin Brown interviews. They were awesome.
I love how I think he like all of a sudden was like with Gunnar Henderson. I think the first thing he said is, "I am very wet right now."
Yeah. And I mean, what was another one? Oh yeah, Adam Frazier comes and dumps a beer on his head, and it was like obviously he was focusing on the interview. He's like, "Thanks, Adam," and then just like continued with like the interview. I was like,
"Well, did you see him doing the Homer host? Did you see him doing the
didn't do
dong bong?
The dong bong tonight?"
I know, but Kevin Brown, who was forced out by John Angelos for a little bit there for talking about a stat about the Orioles not beating the Rays. Then they beat the Rays today, and he gets to drink champagne out of the dong bong.
Out of the 3 non-players that did a dong bong, Mike Elias had to be up top, followed by Kevin Brown, John Angelos. Pitiful time.
I mean, John Angelos did not look like he gave a good effort at the dong bong.
Pretty good form, had the one knee down, pretty good form. But I mean, if we're talking time of bong, not good.
Also, I love someone took the video of Mike Elias, doing the dong bong with champagne like pouring around him, and did it in slow mo.
That was awesome. That
was cool looking. That was so cool looking.
McCann's covering his eyes.
Oh yeah, I love that. James McCann was like, "I got you covered."
Thanks for bringing me here, man. I got you.
Anything you want, I'll take care of you.
Right. All right. Well, before we get into the Orioles week, we're coming down the stretch here, and multiple teams have now clinched their tickets to the postseason. Really, just the Braves and the Dodgers. On the National League side, they both have clinched their divisions. Actually, the Braves obviously at 96 and 53 were the first team to clinch their postseason berth and also the NL East. Braves did get swept by Miami this weekend, though.
Yeah, don't sleep on Miami, man.
Yeah, man, they're trying to make a little push here at the end. Outscored the Braves 33-13 in a 3-game set. I believe was in Miami.
Yeah, it was in Miami.
Yeah, and then the Dodgers swept their weekend series against the Mariners,
which was huge for helping the Orioles' magic number because the Mariners and the Rangers were who we needed to lose for that magic number to go down because they're going to play each other down the stretch. So, like, both of them losing was helping that magic number go down.
Yeah, for sure. Just looking at other magic numbers, Twins are at 6 now. Guardians are 7 games out. That one's about
Doesn't seem
all
likely.
but
Yeah.
finished. However, the Guardians did pull off the sweep of the Texas Rangers this weekend, though.
Yeah, they did catch the Texas Rangers at the perfect time to be catching the Texas Rangers.
Yeah. What's crazy though is that the Guardians are 10.5 out of the wild card and 7 out of their division.
That AL West, man, or AL Central, man.
Believe it or not, the Tigers have not been mathematically eliminated yet.
That's impressive. They probably still have to win out at this point, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, they would need to win out, and I think the Twins would probably need to lose almost all their games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, uphill battle in the AL Central if you're not the Minnesota Twins. The Astros magic number is now at 12 for the division. Still haven't clinched that postseason spot yet.
They had a rough week, too. What was it? They lost 2 out of 3 to the Royals and then, 2 out of 3 to the Athletics.
Ooh, I am not sure.
It was. I saw something.
Yeah. They lost 10 to 8 and 4-2 to the Royals this weekend.
Oof.
Christian Javier took a loss. Hector Neris took a loss as a bullpen game, and then Framber was able to outduel Jordan Lyles.
Okay.
In a 7-1 afternoon matinee. Yeah, I mean, so you got 3 teams left in the race here. You got the Astros at the top of the West by a game and a half. Obviously, the Mariners getting swept over the weekend does not help their case.
No.
But so they are 2.5 out, and then the Rangers are a game and a half out.
It almost feels like that AL West. It seems like nobody wants it down the stretch here.
Yeah, we're looking at an Astros team that is nowhere near where they were last year. Even though they brought back Verlander at the deadline, there's just some guys, especially on the mound, that really aren't performing up to what they had last year. Christian Javier being probably the biggest one there. Kind of hit his 3rd-year slump here. And it's kind of showing, man, because that was a guy that every 5th day you could really rely on to, get you a win, get you 6 innings, 7 innings, and put you in a good spot to win. Don't have that. Framber down the stretch hasn't been Framber. I know he threw a no-hitter, but, I mean, since then, it hasn't been great. Just not as effective as he was. Ground ball rate's still there, though. So, I still wouldn't want to, pitch or hit against Framber in the playoffs.
No, I mean, the Astros are probably the one team on the AL side that I'm scared to face in the playoffs just because the Astros know how to turn it on in October. I don't care what seed they are. They know how to turn it on in October, and we're about to go face them. I mean, we're about to see them.
Yeah,
here in September.
I was about to say, I'm not as scared of the Astros this year than I would be in a previous year.
Yeah.
But I think after this series, it's gonna be like, if the Orioles come across the Astros in a DS game, or hopefully not, but a wild card series game, like it's gonna be close. But hopefully, I mean, we have a great pitching lineup for these next couple games, so I think it'll be a good series. Let's save that though.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But how about the collapse of the Rangers though?
Yeah, man. I mean, this time a couple months ago, we were like, wow, this team's unstoppable. Like they're just gonna hit their way past everybody. And here they are in mid-September, kind of cooling down. Still a respectable record, at 82 and 67. Remember, they had the 4th overall pick in the draft this year.
Yeah,
So
big
as
turnaround.
far as turnarounds and rebuilds go, this is a pretty good example of a successful rebuild. And still a lot of hope down in the farm as well. Wyatt Langford this past week, dude. That was our 4th overall pick out of Florida this year. Nuts. He's going nuts.
Well, and then plus, think about this. They're doing this without Jacob deGrom.
Mm-hmm.
Who went down. He got
And now Max
TJ, right?
Scherzer. DeGrom is having TJ for the second time, yeah. And then
Yeah,
Scherzer's out for the rest of the year with a tricep injury.
right.
So nothing's really going right for the Rangers right now. But again, still a very dangerous team, especially in October. Like you said before, like any
Well,
team
they
can
have the
turn it on.
offense. That's
Oh
the thing,
yeah,
is they have the offense to be scary. We've seen that. They
not
just
having
hit. It
Josh
seems like a
Young,
lot of bad luck here over the last month.
not having Josh Young is proved to have much more of an effect than I think that they initially thought.
Right.
Just rounding out the divisions over in the NL Central, it's the only one not clinched yet in the National League. The Brewers' magic number is 8. Cubs are 6 out. It's gonna be tough to catch the Brewers. They had a tough week. Had the Diamondbacks in Arizona. Justin Steele did not look too great. Led up a 6 spot to the D-backs on Friday night. I think the Brewers have pretty much kind of locked this one up. Especially if they keep playing the way they've been playing. They've been getting a ton of production on the mound. I don't know if you saw last week, they had a combined no-hitter going against the Yankees, and Joey Weimer in right field sells out for this baseball to save the no-hitter, and it was nuts. It was a
Yeah.
nutty catch. They ended up losing that game, which stinks. But
I did not see that.
yeah, no good. In the wild cards, Tampa Bay, obviously, it's either going to be the Rays or the Orioles in that top wild card spot. Followed by the Blue Jays, who swept their weekend series against the Red Sox. And then the Rangers are in that 3rd spot over the Mariners by a game. Magic number there for the Rangers is 13.
I think the biggest thing out of what you just talked about with the wild card is the fact that suddenly Toronto is turning it on, because going down the stretch here, the Rays play 2 series against Toronto, and Toronto making sure that they have something to play for is going to be huge for the Orioles.
Yeah, I think like the main thing for the Jays is just going to be, does Vladdy show up? Does Bo Bichette show up? Do a lot of like those role players show up? Like, is Brandon Belt going to have a Brandon Belt versus the Orioles type series, right? I think on the mound they're going to get it done, even though Gosman didn't look great his last time out. Jose Barrios looked pretty good, and I know like the Red Sox are as good as out of it, but it's no, like they're no slouches.
Yeah, they're not a pushover.
That's a good sweep for them. Detroit still technically in the wild card. Same thing with the Guardians and the Red Sox. Yankees 76 and 74, 6.5 out.
But they are mathematically eliminated from the division.
That'll work. Yankees, I would have to look the stat up, but the last time that they finished with a negative run differential, when do you think that was?
Oh God.
I mean, I would need to look it up, but right now they're minus 13.
I'm guessing the 80s. I'm gonna guess like
probably
like 88 or something like that. I don't know. I don't know my Yankees history well enough. I just know a lot of their stats of like how bad their season was going was like they haven't done this since like 1991. So that makes me think that probably that early. Regardless, I love it. I love it so much. I feed on Yankee tears.
No, yeah, no doubt. I hope that their fans really embrace these young guys coming up. I know Dominguez is out with the UCL repair, but they have a ton of guys coming up that are really exciting to watch. And down year for them for sure. Like they're not going to make the playoffs most likely. Love that as an Orioles fan, but as a baseball fan, they have a lot in the future. So
I think what'll be interesting for the Yankees moving forward is the Yankees built the team that exists today for the most part off of how the Yankees have always built teams. They spend a lot of money on guys, but they gave a lot of these guys pretty long contracts. I mean, Giancarlo Stanton has been on the Yankees how long now? Um,
it's been on
and
there a
then
while, and he's getting a bag for it.
yeah. I mean, and of course, Judge most recently signed that deal. He's going to be there long term. But there's a lot of
Chapman,
guys on this team that they paid a lot of money and have been there
LeMahieu.
for a long time. And I think it's just there's a new style of baseball coming out that Yankees team is not built for. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit here and there, where the new rise in baseball with like the Orioles and other teams that are building up like the Orioles is about analytics
Mm-hmm.
and hard hit rates and things like that. And the Yankees don't build based on that. And I think that this is just the most recent trend to battle back against the big market teams like the Yankees. The Yankees are going to figure out a way to still come back and be a good team in the near
Mm-hmm.
future. I mean, like I don't think the Yankees are going to be down for a decade and never win the division again and all that nonsense. But they're going to have to restructure.
You think they'll get Mike Trout in a trade?
I don't yell at me. Don't yell at me about this, okay? Why would you want him right now?
No, I
When's the last
understand.
time Mike Trout played a full season? And I
I
am not saying
understand.
anything about how well he can play. Mike Trout is amazing. But when's the last time he played a full season?
There's a conversation I had with one of my buddies last night about Mike Trout and how not every team needs Mike Trout.
Right.
I understand he's been hurt, but every team needs Mike Trout.
Okay.
Um, yeah, he'll take up a roster spot if he's hurt, but it's Mike Trout, man. Like you're still gonna get like especially if you treat him the right way, right? He comes back, he's healthy, and he's get like stick him in a corner or DH him. Like you don't need to play him in center field every day. Like if it means a full season of Mike Trout's bat, if you can only DH him and kind of platoon him maybe as like a fourth outfielder when he's not DHing, there's your three hitter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that. I'd be interested what the Angels are willing to trade him for because you know that asking price is going to be high.
Well, I feel like the Angels missed out on the opportunity to trade Otani.
They still have that
Like,
opportunity with Trout.
right? I think that honestly, the Angels would have more trouble finding somebody to take on that contract.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is like if he's hurt as often as he is, are you willing to take on that money for him?
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens at the winter meetings this year. But wouldn't Mike Trout look good in white and orange?
I mean, of course. Of course.
We would not. That's as much as like the stadium
John
renovations
Angelis, John
cost.
Angelis is like, "Hey, we can't even pay the players we have right now without charging you for condiments on your hot dogs, okay? We can't afford Mike Trout."
But man, that guy can do a dong bomb.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. You went away.
My
Huh.
bad. That's what's going on around the league. Let's get into the Orioles, man. Kind of
Dude, I
a
was I was coming into this show and I was thinking like a couple days ago, I was thinking like, what are we gonna call this show? Like, I was like, it's gonna be called like Bad Week or the No Good, Very Bad, Awful Week or something. This was a rough week of baseball, Jack. Um, and of course, it happened to be the week where I went to 4 games. You went to a couple games this week too, right?
I went to
You went
three.
to it three
Yeah,
games. Oh man, well, it started off great
I was in
because
attendance.
what's that?
I think were you here on Monday too?
I was there on Monday. I was
Okay.
there on Monday. In fact, I was there. I was uh 5 seats away from Cedric Mullins' home grand slam.
That's right, dude. When you first posted that picture on Twitter, I was like, "Oh my god, did he get the ball?" Because like you had it in your hand. I was like, "Oh no way."
So we're gonna get to this in the game, but Cedric Mullins' grand slam ball landed a row in front of me, about like 5 or 6 seats down. I was really happy it landed. It hit an empty seat because there was a bunch of kids hanging around there that were just not paying attention,
Yeah.
and it would have killed a kid.
Whew.
It just would have. Um, and then it bounced and it rolled all. I guess it rolled all the way down to the wall
Mm-hmm.
because there was this random guy that was chilling down at the like corner of the section by the wall the entire time, just wearing an Orioles Hawaiian shirt and drinking a big old Coors Light. And like my friends kept pointing at him and being like, Jimmy, that's your future. You're gonna be the old guy chilling in a Hawaiian shirt, drinking a Coors Light at baseball games by yourself. Like that's what you're gonna be doing.
It's kind
And
of
it just
like
rolled down, and this guy had it.
nice.
And so he, we were all hyped. We were on the replay, like because it
Yeah.
landed right there where we were. Um, and I saw him like he was taking pictures of it and I went down and I asked him, I was like, hey, can I take a picture of that ball? Like that's pretty cool, a grand slam ball. And he was like, yeah, sure. Now I did get a ball thrown to me by Ryan O'Hearn in this game.
There you go.
And I gave it to a kid.
Good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you.
Jack, I don't get baseballs ever. I know you have like a whole collection of hundreds you've gotten over the years.
Yeah, I
I
do. I
I
do have a
never get
bunch.
them. I never get them. But he threw me this ball, and it just sort of like was one of those. Like, he threw it up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I got this ball."
Yeah.
If it was a grand slam ball, no, sorry, I'm not giving that ball up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was
No.
just a ball that it wasn't a ball that was used during the game. They were just using it
Right.
for warm ups, and he threw it to the stand. I got it. I was like, "Oh, hey, I got a ball," and then it was just sort of like, "Is there any kids around?" Oh, hey, here you go. Kid did not say thank you, by the way.
Tough scene.
Tough scene, but so yeah, that's my story of Cedric Mullins' grand slam.
There was also a baseball game that happened.
There was also a whole other game that was happening during this. um, Dean Kremer, who I'm a big fan of, I really really like Dean. He did get roughed up in this one. Really had a hard time throwing strikes, Jack. He would only go 4 1/3 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs given up. He had 4 walks and only 2 strikeouts. I kind of came into this going like, because this was right after the rough outing against Boston, and I was sort of like, like are the Orioles going to be okay? Are they about to hit a little downslide? Then you had that 5th inning grand slam by Cedric Mullins that put the Orioles back on top. Gunnar Henderson hit a ball. That one also landed my section, by the way. It just landed like 2 rows behind me. And the Orioles went on an offensive explosion, ended up winning 11-5. And suddenly it was like, oh, okay, no. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And then the next night happened. Now,
yeah. I mean, I think that you can kind of look at the following game and look at what happened on Monday, and you see 5 relievers were used after a long series in Boston. And I think that the next day just kind of brought a lot of flatness. Is that a word? Flatness? Can I do that?
yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. If it's not a word, it is now.
Yeah, sure. But slow baller Adam Wainwright.
With an 8 ERA.
Yeah, 199th career win for Wainwright in this one, which is cool. But this was the John Means return game, and all of the bullpen guys had pitched the day before, and Cole Irvin turned out a good performance. Perez got his 1/3 in. Jorge Lopez, let up a home run. That's kind of the start of his week. But let's get to the Means return.
Yeah, I mean he didn't look. Let's face it, he didn't look like John Means of old. nor should
No,
we
and
have expected him to.
yeah, there's no way that you can expect his first start after TJ to beat John Means of all. And honestly, I liked where his velos were at. He was sitting 93, touching 94. Um, Curveball looked pretty good. I think that that was just kind of John Means' game before, right? He's a finesse guy, and
Hmm.
sometimes the ball is going to leave the yard. Richie Palacios, man, this was his series for sure.
Why
Towson
why
Tiger,
why does this guy hate Oriole birds?
I don't
I
know,
don't
man.
I don't
He
know.
just likes hitting within the 30-mile radius of Baltimore City.
I guess.
Um, yeah, I mean, so he only got in the game because there was an injury.
Yeah.
And he sees the opportunity, and it's really cool that he did. Obviously, you you want a better return for John Means, but I mean, his 2 home runs, that's kind of what we expected, and that's what we saw in the previous years. Like, a couple long balls will kind of rough up Means' line for the whole game. Three
And
earned
solo
runs,
shots won't kill you. Solo shots won't kill
yeah,
you.
3 earned runs over 5 innings in your first start back. I don't hate it. I
No,
think it's
I
hopeful.
think the more disappointing thing for me is that he only had one strikeout in that. And we're used to John Means striking guys out a little bit more. I think to me it's what that points to is that he needs to work on this put away pitch because he was getting into a lot of 2 strike counts and then all of a sudden a guy would hit or whatever. Um so I think he just needs to work on whatever his put away pitch is going to be.
Yeah, and I think that'll come back as he gets back into the swing of things, back to being at that level of competitiveness where you know where to use that curveball more, you know when to use the changeup more. Remember, he hasn't thrown a pitch in a major league game since last May or
Right.
2 Mays ago, May of 2022.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got to get back into it, man. End of the day, 3 runs over 5 innings. That's better than what a lot of our starters have been giving us, this season. So I don't hate it. We'll see how he does tomorrow, right, against Verlander in Minute Maid Park. So,
It'll
but
be
this is the go
interesting.
time. This is the go time for him right now, right? Like, you got to get ramped up for the playoffs. He's eligible.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lopez isn't eligible, so that's another pitching slot
Lopez
that's
did
going to open
not
up.
make the trip to Houston, by the way. I think Rock Cabaco tweeted that out. Jorge Lopez is not making the trip to Houston.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Glad he got to celebrate with the guys tonight. But he honestly did not pitch very well this week.
Yeah.
So
Also in this game, the offense was not good. So,
yeah,
Means gives you a 3-run performance, which is something that you can come back from.
it's fine. It's
It's
fine.
fine, yeah. But what is not fine, Jack, is going 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position.
A lot of double plays.
Yeah.
That was kind of the MO of the week, right? It's like runners on, double play.
Yeah.
And that kills rallies,
Hmm.
especially you get first and second, nobody out, and you ground into a double play. It's not going to win you a game.
I will tell you, Jack, one bright side of this game is that this was an Orioles bark in the park night.
Was there two
And
this week?
they did too. They
Okay.
did Tuesday and Wednesday. I was there Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And where our seats were, our seat was in that section, like right behind the splash zone.
Yeah.
And all the sections to like the right of us from the splash zone was all the bark in the park sections.
Mm-hmm.
So even though the Orioles were doing awful, I got a lot of views of a lot of adorable dogs.
Bright spot and a not so great night.
Yeah. And that Simba cam, amazing.
Oh,
The
yeah, I'd
doggy Simba
imagine.
cam was amazing.
Um,
That's
Drew
the best thing I can
Rom,
say about this game.
Drew Rom Revenge Tour.
Dude, I went into this game and I just had a feeling. I had a
Yeah, I didn't
feeling that
know.
Drew Rom was about to just dominate us. And guess what, Jack?
He did.
He did.
He was putting the ball wherever he wanted it. Dotting up corners, struck out 7, walked 3, 2 hits over 5 and a third. This was honestly his first good start in a Cardinals uniform, and fitting enough that it was against the Orioles.
Yeah. What sucks for this is that Kyle Gibson, who has kind of been up and down as far as quality starts this year,
Been pretty down.
he's been pretty down. Um, he gave us a great outing. I mean, 6 2/3, only gave up 3 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, and had 4 strikeouts. I mean, that
One
what's that?
one mistake to Richie Palacios.
One mistake to to Richie Pulaski, of course. Who else? Who hits a solo shot, and the offense did nothing. I mean, the offense was being no hit through like what 5 innings or 6 innings or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, the Orioles struck out 11 times this game.
It's a lot. It's a
Yeah,
lot. And I mean, you look at the Cardinals bullpen and who really had a bulk of the Ks. It was Giovanni Gallegos and Ryan Helsley. Drew Rom had 7. So I mean, outside of Drew Rom, like you understand a couple Ks from those guys, but yeah, really flat. 0 for 6 with guys in scoring position, and then Hyde tried to change it up there in the later innings and just kind of didn't pan out the way they wanted to. Um, I love the
it
start
was
from
a rough
Gibson though.
series because I mean, like you went into this going like, okay, St. Louis has been bad all year. St. Louis is last in their division.
Yeah,
Um, you know, we gotta take at least 2 out of 3 of this to continue being up on the Rays. And the Rays took 2 out of 3 from their series. Orioles did not. Set us up for a 4-game series against Tampa Bay where the Orioles were only up by 2. And that takes us into Thursday night. I was also at this one, Jack.
mm-hmm.
Um, you never felt out of this one because the Orioles kept battling back.
Yeah,
Kyle Bradish was on the mound. He had a bad 3rd inning where he gave up 3 runs, but other than that, he was pretty good. And especially like you were talking about, the Orioles bullpen was pretty spent from the past couple games. He went 7 innings pitched, so he saved the bullpen, but he did give up 7 hits, 4 runs, no walks, and 5 Ks. Um, still though, like up to that point, Bradish had given you a winnable game.
yeah, no doubt.
I mean, it was tied 3-3 until he gave up that one solo shot in the 7th inning. But the Orioles offense was also not good. I mean, you had a Ryan O'Hearn home run in the 2nd. Gunnar Henderson tied it in the 5th with a home run. But other than that, the Orioles only had 4 hits the whole game. And that's just not going to win it for you.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Savali looked pretty on in the early parts of this game. Struck out 8, even though it didn't really feel like it up until he kind of came out. And then the Rays bullpen in this game was disgusting. Didn't allow a hit. Didn't allow a base runner, actually. The Rays bullpen. And on national TV, felt like a playoff game. I think it was played like a playoff game.
It was loud like a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean,
There was
it
only
was just
28,000 people there, I think, like which is small compared to what the rest of the weekend would be, but it
yeah,
was pretty loud in there.
yeah, no doubt. I mean, you had 24,000. That's what on the TV I was like, damn, it's kind of empty for pretty big series, but it sounded full.
Everyone was loud. Like every time there was something going on, everyone was standing up. I know, like, so we were up 3rd level and then we ended up moving down because there was room to move down,
Yeah,
which is a rarity these days. And so we were down, and like people, like every time the Orioles got anything going, they were like, stand up, get loud, get loud. So like people were into it. Just the offense didn't respond.
yeah. One takeaway from this game though is that I think that Kyle Bradish has really solidified himself as the ace of the staff, and it shows with the trust that Hyde has in him.
Oh yeah.
I think first half of the year, I don't think Bradish gets that 7th inning.
No, I agree with that. I agree with
And
that.
it didn't work out the way that, him and Hyde and the team hoped it would. Like that is a tough call on a 2-1 pitch that would have made it go 2-2. Instead it goes 3-1, and he leaves a slider right over the middle of the plate, and then Luke Raley takes him yard. But I think it
He
was
did.
really
Let me say with that too. You had a pitch where the guy clearly swung. I mean, it seemed like he clearly swung, which would have made it 2-2. And then the pitch after that was also called a ball. And
okay. So
that
there was two pitches. The one that he
it,
swung, and
it
then
strike
called.
4 is the one that was hit out.
Yeah,
And it kind of seemed like all game. And granted, I was in the stands and I was asking people, I was like, if you're watching at home, does the strike zone look as bad as it does in person? And most people
it
were
wasn't
saying yes.
good.
I was getting screenshots of the stat cast.
Yeah, I
It
know. I
was
mean, it wasn't
bad.
good. And I will give Bethencourt some props that he was stealing some strikes, but there was a couple strikes that just weren't close, like a good ball and a half off the plate that were getting called for both sides, and then wouldn't get called for both sides at some
Right.
points. And in one of the biggest spots of the game that obviously ended up deciding the game, it really showed its teeth, and Luke Raley was able to obliterate that baseball.
And that's the thing is, I walked away from that game like really upset, and I was telling my buddy Eddie who was with me, I was just like, man, I never like being that guy. I never like being that guy that's like, well, if it wasn't for the officiating, and granted, there were other factors. There were other
Yeah,
factors
The
going on.
Orioles didn't have a hit after the fifth inning.
Yeah, that does not help. But I was just sitting there going like, man, I really felt like that officiating hurt us tonight. And I don't want to walk away feeling that way. I want to walk away feeling like, look, if they beat us, they beat us. Like that's how it happens.
Yeah.
Kind of like the next night.
Oh, something to note though: Heston Kjerstad made his MLB debut in this one. Got
He
a
did.
tough
He got a
pinch hit
great
spot.
ovation. Great
Yeah, I'm glad
ovation
he
by
got a
him.
good ovation. He was in a real tough spot there in the eighth inning. Uh, just seemed a little fast for him. I think the game sped him up a little bit there, and he did end up striking out of that at bat.
It's
But
tough too to make your major league debut as a pinch hitter in
no
like what,
doubt,
the eighth inning, ninth inning, something like that.
yeah. I mean, and then he got the start the next day. And
Adam Jones
he
Day.
on Adam Jones Day. Yeah, let's talk about that, dude.
Yeah, I showed up super early. I know you went to Pickles first.
I got there well before the ceremony started.
Yeah. I got there. I got in line for the gates at 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to get the T-shirt,
Yeah.
which is nothing special. It's just an Adam Jones jersey, but I really wanted an Adam Jones jersey. So I got there, wandered around the park a little bit, which was nice because like I usually they only open the gates an hour before the game time. They open the gates 2 hours before game time, so I got to be there for batting practice for the Rays batting practice, which you never get to see anymore because they only open an hour early
Right.
these days. I was on the flag court for some Rays batting practice. Jack, I saw something that I haven't seen before, and I'm very surprised it doesn't happen more often. I saw during batting practice a home run come onto the flag court. Everyone shout heads up. Someone wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden you heard this smack, and you just saw beer flying everywhere.
Oh shit.
So I don't know if a beer got like knocked out of someone's hand or if it like hit someone and they fell and they're like beer. Like
Damn.
I couldn't quite see, but like I was just like, that's the first time I've seen that, and I'm surprised that doesn't happen more often.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of feel like you see it more in the game. Just obviously, cameras are all over the place, and
Yeah.
if you have a foul ball obliterate your beer, like people are gonna know about it. But yeah, I'm sure it happens more often than you think.
Yeah. I did
Adam
after that
Jones.
though run into good friend of the pod, O's baseball card giveaways. Got to
Nice,
talk with him for a bit, so that was fun.
nice.
And
The
then we got to experience the Adam Jones ceremony.
Yeah, and it was really cool. I will share my grievances here. I was on the flag court for the ceremony.
Okay.
And this was the consensus around the flag court and the surrounding sections is that you could not hear.
That sound system needs to be replaced hardcore.
You could not hear anything. I'm really glad they put closed captioning on the ceremony, or seriously, wouldn't have been able to hear anything.
I noticed that during BP was like music that was playing around the park, and I couldn't tell what song was playing.
Yeah.
And I noticed that Monday night because I was sitting out in center field, could barely hear anything. And even for the ceremony, I'm up on my normal seats, third level behind home plate, and even up there, it like I could hear, but took a little bit of concentration of like what are they saying?
Yeah.
And people have been complaining about it all year. The Camden Yards sound system needs to be like priority number one once the lease is signed. Of like, okay, let's get a new sound system because it has been bad
Yeah.
all year.
Yeah, it really wasn't good. And honestly, outside of the ceremony, this game was not good.
I was miserable this game. First of all, I was tired because it was my fourth game of the week.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like, I'm sitting there like, is this really going to happen on Adam Jones night? Like Jack Flaherty, the first 2 innings, I was like, oh, he's got it. He's in the zone tonight. He had like 3 or 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
Jack Flaherty he's gonna be on tonight. And then he wasn't.
No, I mean, honestly, he really didn't pitch that bad. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know the line doesn't look good. 4 innings, 3 runs, and a homer, but like, if we're looking at it, man, he didn't pitch that horribly, and it stinks that he couldn't get more run support because I think that's why he got the early yank. He was only at 79 pitches, and he was in the zone, right? Like he only had one walk. I think that he just let up that homer, and his leash is so short now that Hyde really didn't have a choice other than to pull him.
Yeah, because Hyde's fear is that he's gonna keep going, and all of a sudden it's gonna be a 7-0 game. Oh wait,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
then
DL Hall
then
not sharp. Brian Baker not sharp.
yeah, I
Baker
did the
was
math here.
optioned.
What was it? Webb, Hall, Baker, and Perez combined for 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, no walks, but also no strikeouts.
Well, Perez had that 1 inning and it was clean. Um, but yeah, Brian Baker kind of
First
was
pitch,
really
first
bad.
pitch being back from AAA.
I mean, outside of that, like, yeah, 2 of the runs were credited to DL Hall, but outside of that, he pitched pretty good. I
Well,
mean,
they
three
they put
hits
him
or
in
3 innings.
3 innings, and you could kind of tell it was one of those like, all right, you're gonna go, and then tomorrow you're gonna be sent down for someone else because we're gonna wear you out tonight just so we don't wear anyone else out. Which is smart. That's a smart move by Hyde. The one bright spot that you were about to talk about, Jack, is we did get to see one of the 2 Orioles hits, because that's the other story of this game, is that the offense did not exist. One of the 2 Orioles hits was the first ever hit by Heston Kjerstad, which appropriately, I think, with all the hype around him, was a home run.
418 feet, 101-2 off the bat. It was a nuke.
Absolute nuke. Um, do you want to do our Kjerstad talk a little bit before we get into the rest of the series?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Heston Kjerstad came up this week. He came up just before the Rays series started. As Jack mentioned, he pinch hit in that first game against the Rays, and then he's actually started on Friday night. Has not played since Friday night, interestingly enough. But Heston Kjerstad is the number 3 Orioles prospect. He is ranked as the number 24 overall prospect by MLB Pipeline. And he was the number 2 overall draft pick in 2020, I believe, Jack. Was it
Yep.
2020 or 2019? No, 2020.
2020.
And missed, great story. Missed 2 years of baseball due to COVID season happening. And then he was having, I believe it was a heart defect type
Yeah, it
thing that was
was
happening.
his heart was inflamed, I believe it is. It's myocarditis. And from what I know, I think it's when your heart's inflamed, and it's really really serious. Like your heart rate can't get above a certain point, or else like your heart will literally explode. And that's a long recovery process, and he endured it. Like that's got to be horribly tolling on your mental one. And then just to like get back into that physical shape after having such a injury condition, that limits you so much physically. He got back to the point, you know, where he was that number 2 overall pick. And in his second or third major league at bat, he goes yard like way up into the bleachers. So I think that's what you can kind of expect from Kerstad if he gets more time here in the coming weeks, is that he's still got to get back up to like, I mean, he probably still doesn't, but I mean, he's still got to get used to like the major league pitching acclimation process, and just like the confidence too, man. I mean, that homer's great for confidence. I wish he kind of played more this weekend, but I mean, this is what we're gonna have for Heston for a couple years. I would think, man, just like insane above average power. He'll stick in a corner, and yeah, he can play first base if you need to. Although
Yeah.
Hyde said no first base.
This is the guy. I think what was funny is I saw so many people when he was announced he was coming up, and people were like, if anyone's going to hit the warehouse during a game, it's probably going to be
Did you
Heston
see the
Kjerstad.
video from Saturday's BP where he hit that ball?
No.
I can't remember who posted it, but like on the Jumbotron, there's like the support beams that kind of have
Hmm.
like X's across. He put one in there.
What?
Yeah, I can't. I'd have to find the video,
That's insane. That's
but
insane.
yeah,
I think that's what's really exciting for him is the power. Because that's
yeah,
the one thing this team doesn't have a lot of. I mean, Anthony Santander is leading the team with what, 29 home runs, maybe 30 now.
I would need to
He's
look.
he's been he's been cold. He's like 0 for his last 19.
Yeah, he did not look
But
good this week.
I mean, like, there's not, you don't have anyone on the team. You're like, oh, that's the power guy. Like, you have a
Right.
lot of guys that can hit for power, but power's not really the biggest thing about this team. If you suddenly add the power bat to it, then this team is really scary. So I'm excited
Yeah,
for Heston Kjerstad. I think it's a great story. Um, I'm excited that he is doing well. I hope he gets some more playing time here because I want to see that bat. I
yeah,
get
no
it.
doubt.
The tough thing that Hyde has to kind of manage now is that we're down the stretch here in the playoff run, fighting for the division,
Hmm.
and so easily, like, we can talk about like when rookies come up and they have to adjust, and it's like, do we have time to adjust right now? Probably not. If we had time to adjust right now, Colton Cowser would be up right now.
Right.
So like, I don't think he's going to get a ton of playing time going down the stretch here, but I think it's really good for him to get some major league experience because next year is going to be the big year for Heston Kjerstad.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of the Orioles being scary, this this game was a scary Orioles team, man. Like,
Oh yeah.
they scored a ton of runs off Glass now. 6 earned off Glass now, who is one of the better pitchers when healthy, of the past decade.
Oh yeah.
And Grayson Rodriguez,
Let me tell you, Jack, this is the Grayson Rodriguez we've all been hearing about since he
this
was the
is
first round draft pick in 2018. This is what we imagined Grayson Rodriguez could be. All those years of losing with horrible pitchers going out there and being on the mound for the Orioles. And you just heard, like, oh, one day, though, one day Grayson Rodriguez is going to be here and he's going to dominate the league. This is what I envisioned.
this is that 8 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, 7 Ks.
What more could you ask? What more could you ask?
9
Answer
innings.
nothing.
9 innings.
9 innings, okay. Yeah.
Complete
But
game shatty. Nah, but he pitched really good. Just had good feel for all of his pitches. A lot of control. Velocity was there through the 8th inning, man. I mean,
yeah, he was
I,
still
I
hitting
was,
100 through the 8th inning, wasn't he?
yeah, he was. I was at this game, and it seemed that he was feeding off the energy that was in the stadium. One that the offense produced, like the energy that came around a whole ton of runs in the early stages of the game, as well as feeding off of himself pitching really well and being confident on the mound. Um, Kept his pitch count really low, 95 pitches through 8. I think I looked up at the sixth during the sixth inning and it was like 68 pitches. I was like, oh no way, Grayson's shove it.
So I was as you know, I was working that night,
Yeah,
and someone was like sharing with me the score and whatnot, and he showed me, they're like, oh, Grayson's apparently doing really well, but he just finished the sixth, he's probably going to get pulled. And then he pulled up his stat line and went, well, he only has 68 pitches or something like that, he only has
yeah,
60 something pitches. And then I heard he went out for 2 more innings. I was like, oh yeah.
yeah. And
And
then
then
just
how
going
about
back,
Gunnar Henderson in this game too?
dude, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was like going back to like the young core guys that we expect, like waiting through all those years. Grayson Rodriguez, 8 shutout, and then Gunnar Henderson 3 for 5 with a home run. I mean,
This is the Orioles' future. This is the next 6 years for the Baltimore Orioles.
and of
I would
course,
love for it to be beyond that, but at least at least the next 6 years for the Baltimore Orioles.
yeah, for sure. And then of course to boot, Aaron Hicks 2 for 3 with a walk, Ramon Urias 2 for 4 with an RBI. Like, yeah,
That's the thing, is like Gunnar right now is like the guy you're like, okay, I expect him to do well. He is probably rookie of the year this year. If he's not rookie of the year at this point, it's a crime. It just
yeah.
is.
I mean,
Um,
just for what
but
he brings to the team, I think is what he's deserving for in Rookie of the Year. It's like on both sides of the ball. Obviously, the counting stats and the averages that you look at in a lot of these big accolades, like he's batting 260, but his OPS is up over 830 now, which is pretty nuts. Like how he turned that around from May and June and July. But yeah, I think he's probably a shoe in now.
he like I'm at the point where I just expect Gunnar Henderson to be good. Everyone else around it, like you mentioned, Aaron Hicks, Ramon Urias, like these are guys that I'm like, some nights they have it, some nights they don't. But the way this team is completed, when they do win, when they are playing the way that they have all year, you just never know who's going to come up. You never know who's going to be that guy
Mm-hmm.
to push them over the edge. And I really liked that this was a complete team win where you had guys like that coming in big spots and getting RBIs, getting runs, making big plays. And that's really what the Orioles needed after after 4 straight games where they just looked bad. I mean, they just looked really bad. I mean, I walked out of the game on Friday, Jack, and I was going like, man, I really hope we can just win one game in this series. And
And
then to turn it around like that was awesome.
I was sitting in my buddy's house before we walked over to the game on Saturday night. And we're sitting there, cooking up a little parlay. And we said they have to win tonight. Like, there's no way that they don't win, right? Like, it's 4 in a row. There's no way that they don't win. And they won, and the parlay hit.
Ooh,
So, there you go.
cash out.
I had to.
You're not gonna say. You're not gonna say. That must be a lot. That must be a lot. All right. I will say
Nah.
I felt like I had a little good baseball vibes for this one, Jack, because before this game at work, I had a family of Tampa Bay fans, and the daughter lost her hat and was inconsolable that she lost her Tampa Bay Rays hat. So I helped the family. I walked them to where they thought the hat was. I
Yeah.
found the hat for them, and they were very happy. And I told them, I said, now here's the deal. You have to give the Orioles at least one win now, okay? I think that was my offering to the baseball gods,
There you
that,
go.
hey, all that I've done wrong in the world, I am making up for it by helping this family of another team, and they delivered.
And I must say, after nothing, not that this has to do with me at all, but after the last time that we talked about how to go about opposing fans in the ballpark, there was a bunch of Rays fans on the flag court Saturday night, and if there was ever a time for opposing fans to get ribbed a little bit, especially in the flag court, Orioles fans were very respectful of the Rays fans, and I was pretty pleased.
They've maybe not suffered as much as we have because they've only existed for 25 years, but they've suffered a good bit as well in that
Yeah,
time frame. So
yeah. I mean, the whole Blake Snell issue in the World Series. We won't get into it, dude. You're an Apple Watch guy, right?
I am currently wearing one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you didn't watch this game, but I checked in on the old heart rate app on the old Apple Watch, and I was at a cool 110 for the last three
Ooh,
innings of this game
love
on
it.
Sunday afternoon. I mean, dude, I tuned in a little bit late. I was driving home from coaching. Tuned in
I will
about.
say I was listening on the radio,
There
so
you go.
maybe I need to go check my heart rate too.
Now I tuned in probably like the fifth or sixth inning. It was right at the end. Yes, it was the fifth, right at the end of Dean's outing. And honestly, like I like the Orioles had that 1-0 lead. Eighth inning rolls around. I thought the Orioles were done. I thought they were done.
Yeah.
They were down 2-1 going into the bottom of the eighth. And I thought it was done. Right.
I got the notice. This is where I thought it was done, Jack. Orioles are down in the eighth, like you said, 3-1. And then what happens?
What?
Adley Rutschman home run.
Yes. Sorry.
Adley Rutschman home run. And then in the top of the ninth, I'm out. I'm not listening to the radio at this point. I had to go do something at work. And as I'm like doing this thing, I feel my Apple Watch buzz. And I look and I see Ray's score up 4-2. And I'm thinking, like, crap. There goes that. Right. I come back in for what I was doing at work. I pull up my phone to go ahead and pull up the audio and whatnot. And as I'm pulling up the audio, it says 3-2. And I'm like, what? And I go and I look, and sure enough, play at the plate, overturned by review. Game is still in reach. And suddenly I was like, oh my God.
That was a really close play, too. I honestly thought there was no way that they were going to overturn it. It just seemed like it was too bang bang. Like Ben McDonald alluded to this on the broadcast as well. He's like, it was really close, and honestly, I wasn't expecting it, and like there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it, but they did.
And then your hero and my combination of Jorge Mateo on second base and Adam Frazier
That
lining a
was
single.
Jorge Mateo on first base.
Was he on first base? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jorge Mateo on first base. Adam Frazier hitting the ball out to the outfield, hitting a single, and Jorge Mateo scoring from first to home, and suddenly you have a tie ball game. I'm in the office, Jack, and I'm going like, let's go,
Yeah.
let's go. All right, let me get back to work. Let's go.
So I will say the Orioles got down 2 outs real fast.
2 outs
in the
and
ninth.
2 strikes.
Yeah, Austin Hayes was able to kind of fist the ball out in the short center. He was fired up. He was like, come on, get it up in here. And then Adam Frazier, who looked all but overmatched, get down to a 1-2 count. Rays were shifted a little bit towards, the pull side. And he just kind of takes this, I think it was a slider, low and away, just takes it the other way, right up the line. And it rolled into the corner. And I got up. I was on my feet. I was, hitting the couch. And he's coming around like Mateo's in there standing. I was like, oh my God, because he was off on the pitch. He's stolen the pitch. And that was like one of the better memories that I have of the Orioles in like my formative years. Was
And can
Adam
I also just
Frazier
say,
scoring
like,
Jorge Mateo.
this is why Jorge Mateo is on this team at this point.
Yeah. That's all.
He's not playing shortstop very much anymore. He's not getting a ton of at bats. But if this is how he's going to be used down the stretch, I am 1,000% okay with this. I am 1,000% with like, hey, late inning game, tight ball game, Jorge Mateo, you're going to go be a pinch runner because it's a game changer when he's on base.
Yeah.
He just can't steal first base. That's why he hasn't been good all year. But when you're in a tight game like this and you put him on in pinch running, I'm like, this is why he's on this team at this point. This is the only reason why the Orioles are keeping him on the team at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he sticks in the defense too. Like
he does.
Plays a very, average to above average shortstop. That's honestly more above average.
Yeah, I'd say more above average. Just the occasional error. That's the only
Yeah,
problem. It's just the occasional
and
error.
he flies. He
Yeah, I mean,
flies,
probably
dude.
best speed in the major leagues, if not the
Close to
best,
it.
like pretty close to it.
I don't know if I'd say the best, but he's definitely up there.
He's up there. Um,
Um, After
and then
this
you go
ninth
into
inning,
extras.
yeah, like after this ninth inning, I think everybody was just kind of like taken aback at what just happened. Like, holy crap, the Orioles just tied the game. Like, there's no way. Like, they
Because here's
seem
the other
down and
thing
out.
is while this is happening, Cleveland is beating Texas 9-1.
Yeah,
And so like you're kind of like watching this and like it's pretty much a sure thing at this point. The game hadn't ended just yet
yeah.
by the time it gets to extra innings. But it was pretty much a sure thing. Like, okay, so Clinchmas was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But how much can you celebrate Clinchmas if you lose the game you're playing?
Yeah,
Right?
you think the
If you
Rays celebrated
lose
that
and
much
still
today?
clinch, you're kind of like, yay. You know?
Yeah, the
Like,
Rays, man, they have an off day tomorrow too. The Rays could have gotten after it today.
yeah. And the Rays did score their ghost runner at the top of the 10th. I got in a
Um,
really heated debate with someone at work where they said, like, oh, I love that rule. And I was like, why? They're like, well, it shortens the game. And I was like, but did they earn that run?
Look,
Of
it's
course, then the
exciting.
Orioles go and score their ghost runner.
Look, it's really exciting. Like I know like there's a lot of controversy around it. And do I like it 100%? No. Do I think that it adds a really exciting element to the game? Yeah, because you can have both sides of it where you have the guy on second, both of the batters hit a ball right into the ground and send it straight up in the air off the chop. And that's how the Rays got that run at the top of the 10th was, a swinging bunt and then another swinging bunt that happened to go 20 feet in the air. Launch angle on that ball was negative 78, by the way. Suddenly the Rays are up 4-3, and then you go to the bottom of the 10. Westberg hits for the pitcher's spot. In great lineup manipulation, by the way, by Brandon Hyde here. Absolute masterclass. Westberg strikes out. Gunnar gets jammed on a ball, pops away up. And then who else? But Adley freaking
Clutch in.
Rutschman. I mean, it was a tough pitch too, man. Like it really
After
just
he had
fought
already
that up.
after he already hit that home run in the 8th inning.
Yeah, dude. Which gave, I mean, I obviously you weren't watching it, but the call from Kevin Brown just kind of, it was like this is a playoff game. Like
Let me tell you, the call from Brett Hollander on the radio, awesome.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Awesome
sure.
calls from Brett Hollander on the radio. It sounded like a playoff game on the radio too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Also, can we talk about Adley coming in clutch twice? Um, and how he has been getting a lot of heat this past week because he's been slumping. And I've been
Yeah,
seeing a lot of people
snapped.
be like, wow, imagine if Adley was actually the player we thought he was going to be. I saw a lot of Adley Rutschman hate
Really?
on the Twitterverse this week, and I was not happy with it. So I was really excited to see him come in clutch for his team this game.
Yeah, no doubt. And then top the 11th, Adley Rutschman again. Like you won't see this on any stat sheet, but put on a show behind the plate, just blocking balls up. Like another Ben McDonald pointed out, like ball a couple inches to his left, gets around it completely and still smothers it, keeps it right in front of him. And honestly, like a dirt ball guy from third moves up on that. Like that's the difference in a game is those blocks that he had. And especially a guy like DL Hall who has control issues and is prone to more wild pitches. Like big time that he was back there.
Well, yeah,
DL,
especially because they already have a rapport because they came up through the minors together. So it's
yeah,
like even bigger having him catching DL Hall because he knows that. Like he just knows DL Hall a little better than James McCann probably does.
yeah, for sure. And then DL Hall has a clean inning. Um, was really fired up after. It was really good to see him succeed in a big spot like that after a really tough outing in the game that he was in before on Friday night. And then Ryan O'Hearn with a big time bunt. His presser afterwards was really funny. He was like, Hyde comes up to him and says, "When was the last time you bunted?" He's like, "I don't know, 5 years ago." He's like, "Well, can you get it down?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get it down." Sells out his body, his face to get this bunt down. It was a beauty of a bunt. Moves him up to third, and then Cedric Mullins is able to get that fly ball, do his job, and score Adley. I'm glad it was Adley that scored that last run
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh yeah. And Cedric Mullins, who Cedric Mullins, who came up before this team was really like in full like pedal to the metal, like bringing guys up mode. Because I remember Cedric Mullins coming up in 2019, his whole story. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy to think Cedric Mullins is one of the veterans on this team now.
Yeah, no doubt. And if you want to hear him talk about that pretty candidly, about his journey through the majors and also his personal journey, the Bleacher Report podcast with Mookie Betts did a
Yeah.
really, really good episode with Seth on it.
Ooh.
So if you want to hear kind of some like stuff that you usually don't hear from Cedric Mullins, that's a place to go. It's a nice, easy, approachable 45-minute episode. Some good stuff in there. But my question is when will Fanatics have those shirts back in stock? Because I tell you, 20 minutes after the game ended, I went on fanatics.com and they were sold out of those shirts that they were wearing on the
Oh,
field after
the
the game.
Take October or whatever they
Yeah,
are.
completely sold out.
Did you see they gave one to Fired Up Guy?
Did they really?
Yeah,
Nice.
I saw all these videos of people that are around Fired Up Guy. He suddenly like is putting the shirt on and like
Yeah,
cheering, shouting everyone. And then, oh my god! So I don't know if you've ever interacted with Fire Up Guy
I have
before.
not.
I've seen him in the members lounge a lot, and like I've just brief little conversations with
Yeah,
him, nothing more. Very nice guy. If you ever
yeah.
see Fired Up Guy, don't hesitate to like talk to him because he's
Mm-hmm.
super friendly. Um, but he's been the loudest voice in the stadium for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And so he gets this shirt on and he's cheering and everybody's like, yeah, yeah. And he literally, Jack, he sits down in his chair and he just starts sobbing. He just puts his
Dude,
hands over his
yeah.
face and just starts sobbing. And I just sat there. I was like, I feel you, Fired Up Guy. I'm right
Yeah,
there
you
with
can't
you.
blame him, dude. I mean, like the amount of time and energy that he has spent over the last 2 years. I mean, you look down at that one section, the section he's in, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
there almost every game, man. So I'm glad they gave him a shirt. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. Celebration was awesome. I mean, again, we talked about Jack. We haven't gotten a celebration in 7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was really cool to get it after a win like that. I mean, a great win. Hyde said it best. He's like, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I wouldn't have won any other
Yeah.
way today. Um, the Rays, my understanding is the Rays did not celebrate because the Rays also clinched today.
Yeah.
And the Rays did not celebrate. And I'm guessing because either they got a loss or because they've had postseason runs in the season recently. So they're like, oh, we're not going to celebrate a postseason clinch. Like, we'll celebrate when we clinch the division or something. But they did not celebrate. The Orioles, on the other hand, did. And I think that celebration would have looked a lot different if the Orioles had lost that game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it was nuts in there. And I could not take my eyes off of it. Like, I think I like fumbled the remote and like accidentally backed it up, and I was like, shit, and like immediately like sped it back up. But yeah, man, like I did not move from my seat. I watched every second of like the post game stuff. Glad that they extended it for sure into the FanDuel horse racing segment on Masson. Um,
You
but
don't like that? You don't like FanDuel horse racing on Masson, man? That's high quality Mid Atlantic Sports Network entertainment right there.
That's like when you wake up and you see like the midget wrestling on Masson. It's like other West Coast games, like, oh shit, it's 2 a.m.
I love that they got the broadcasters in on it. I love seeing Kevin
Awesome.
Brown doing the dong bong in a rain poncho, by the way.
Awesome. I mean,
Um,
like seeing guys that obviously aren't a part of the team, interpreters, reporters,
social
front
media
office
team.
staff. Yeah, dude, it was awesome. That was a celebrate. And like I don't really remember the celebrations from like 2014. I feel like those celebrations are just objectively better than the 16 ones.
Well, 2014, the big celebration was when they won the division, and that was the cool stuff where you had
Yeah,
Adam Jones pieing fans.
Tommy Hunter. Wait, no, that was 12. My bad. That
Tommy
was 12.
Hunter was 2016. The funny thing about Tommy Hunter in 2016 is Tommy Hunter wasn't on the team for most of 2016. And I think he got picked up off waivers or something like that the last
Yeah.
month of the season.
Well, he was
And
definitely
then
there in 2012.
yeah, but
Maybe that's what I'm thinking
he
of.
came in 2016 and gave the postseason clinching speech in 2016. I was like, Tommy Hunter, what are you doing? You weren't on this team for most of the year.
Were you even eligible? But yeah, I mean, it was just electric through and through. I'm gonna get one of the. I'm gonna get every single shirt, whatever imaginable. Like this, like just means so much to to like you and I. It means a ton to the city. It means a ton. Like people have been itching for this. Like,
Let me tell you, Jack. So like I said, Friday or Saturday night, I was at a big event at work, and the crowd was a little lighter than it normally is for this event. And part of it is people were like, "Well, the Orioles are playing, and the Orioles are good." And literally throughout the entire event, the MC kept updating people on the Orioles score,
it's
like
fun.
throughout the whole event.
Yeah.
It was Jason Newton, if you're familiar with WBAL. Um, Jason Newton throughout the whole event kept updating people on the score. And Jack, I told you before we went live, I met the governor at this event, and I asked him. I said, "Where's your governor splash stuff? Why aren't you wearing your governor splash stuff?" And he told me, he's like, "Oh, Jimmy." He didn't say my name. He didn't know my name, but he goes, "Oh, I should have worn it because we need to win tonight. We need to win tonight." And I was like, "Yeah, man, we need to win." And he like grabbed my shoulder and he's like, "No, we need to win tonight." And I was like, Yes. like like the governor's all in on it. The city's all in on it. I mean, I talk about all the time on here, Jack. I mean, I live in the city and like you just walk down the streets and people are just shouting at you, "Go O's, go O's," because I'm always wearing Orioles gear and stuff. I'm getting stopped in grocery stores. People are like, "Oh, how about the Orioles, huh? Isn't that great?"
Yeah.
On Friday or no, Thursday, I stopped at Ace because I needed to get some hardware stuff, and I happened to be wearing my Orioles stuff, and the person checking me out was like, "Oh, are you going to the Orioles game tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, isn't it so cool what they're doing and everything like that?"
Yeah, man.
Everyone is talking about it. Jack, we're in football season, and I'm
I
barely
didn't.
hearing a peep about the Ravens.
I didn't watch a single down of the Ravens game today. It was all. It was just the Orioles game. I mean, like I'm glad the Ravens won. It was a big in division game against the Bengals. I'm really glad they won. Um, but I honestly like I didn't even know the final score until I checked my fantasy team a little bit like later after the game was over.
Well,
Um,
like I told you, because I'm an Eagles fan.
yeah,
The Eagles played on Thursday night. Where was I Thursday night? I was not at my local Eagles bar at McGurk's. I was at Camden Yards because I was like, I'd rather be here right now because this is more important to me right now.
yeah, no doubt. Um, yeah, dude, it's just surreal and it's awesome. It's so much fun. Winning is so fun.
we don't get to experience that very often.
Yeah,
um, I'm really excited for this team. What they have done is really exciting. Where they are right now, so we are officially going to the playoffs. No matter what, the Orioles could lose every single game from here on out, still going to the playoffs. Um, where we are is that we are now 2 games ahead of the Rays in the AL East. So we're basically right back where we were at the start of that 4-game series. However, with the caveat that officially the Orioles do have the tiebreaker against the Tampa Bay Rays. So if the season ends and their records are exactly the same, the Orioles do get the division over the Rays because they have that season series. So effectively, Jack, even though it is mathematically a 2-game lead in the division, it's actually a 3-game lead in the division. How are you feeling with where the Orioles are positioned right now?
yeah. Feel obviously good. Obviously good. This win today kind of makes you take a deep breath, a deep exhale. I think if we lose today, it's a different story, but we didn't. But
Yeah.
we didn't. So yeah, you're feeling a little bit better about it. I think if the roles were switched here with us and the Rays were going to go to Houston to play 3, and the Orioles were going to stay at home and play the Angels for 3, I would feel even better. After the Houston series, I think it'll be that's like this Houston series is a checkpoint, right? Like
Yeah.
if we do well in Houston, 2 or 3 in Houston, it's like, oh yeah, we're winning this thing. Like that's how you'd feel after. But I do like the spot that we're in, especially with that tiebreaker, man. Obviously, we only needed one to clinch that thing. Um, Yeah,
But
man.
having like the alternative was, so we won the one game Saturday night and we came down to today. The alternative was that we were going to walk out of here and the division was going to be tied and we'd have the tiebreaker. Instead, we have 2 games plus the tiebreaker. You cannot overstate how huge that is. I'm kind of like you. I'm a little nervous for this week.
But we
Because
have momentum, right? Like
we
these, like
have
winning
momentum. We do have
today,
momentum.
like momentum is high. You just had a beer shower with the dong bong. Like momentum should be at an all time high. Dude should be ready to go. Who's on the mound tomorrow? Means, dude, he's got to be amped up. I mean, you could see Means taking it in today
Oh
while they were
yeah.
celebrating on the field. Like you saw him just kind of looking out at the stadium, and he was soaking it all in. Soak it in.
Soak it in. There we go.
But yeah,
There's our playoff statement. Soak it in.
and
Um,
then a trip to Cleveland.
Trip to
That'll be
Cleveland
fun.
where I will be in attendance for one game.
That'll be fun.
I'm excited for that. That's a father son trip. Me and my dad are
Yeah,
doing.
it'll be a good
We're
time.
going up. We're driving up Wednesday, and then Thursday we're gonna hit up the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then we're going to the game. I got some nice ass seats for me and my dad. Really nice
Splurge.
seats behind home plate.
Hell yeah.
Couple of rows up, but behind home plate, lower level. I'm
Nice.
pumped for it. And then we're driving back Friday. We're gonna hit up the NFL Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, on the way back.
Good.
But
Good
quick
time.
trip, but it'll be nice to go see another stadium, go root on this team. I really feel like, if you take 2 out of 3 from the Astros and if you take 3 out of 4 from Cleveland, you're sitting pretty for the rest of the rest of the season.
And now we don't have to worry about like more than one team. Like it's just us and the Rays.
That's all it is.
Rays lose, magic number goes down 1. Orioles win, magic number goes up 1. Both happen. O's win, Rays lose, goes down 2.
Yeah. And so it's a good position to be in. Real quick, Jack, just because we're kind of going over a little bit here. Jack Flaherty, do you want him still pitching for this team?
No.
Agreed.
End statement.
Yep. Nothing against him as a person, just he's not been playing well, and we're kind of at that point of the year where we can't be doing experiments or works in progress anymore or anything like that. Second question. What are the odds that Felix Bautista makes an appearance before the end of the playoffs?
I think it's crazy that he threw a bullpen today.
Right?
He has a partially torn UCL, dude.
So what it sounds like, and I am no doctor, but from what Elias has talked about, what they've been doing with him, so he has a partially torn UCL. He has non-chronic pain, so if he had chronic pain, he would just be in pain all the time. He's only getting pain here and there. He has been tossing catch every now and again. Today he did a full bullpen session. It sounds to me, Jack, like they are trying to keep him as an option in October. I don't think he pitches the rest of the regular season, but I think they keep him as an option in October because it sounds like they're saying that the injury is not going to get worse by him throwing. That's what Elias made it sound like. It's not going to get worse by him throwing. So I think they're going to be like, come October, give it your all, because you're going to be out next year no matter what. I think this is going to be Tommy John, right?
I mean,
And
it
so
is
they're going to
Tommy
say,
John.
yeah, it is Tommy John. So I think they're saying, you're going to help us make a deep playoff run, and then you're not going to pitch until 2025.
Yeah, which I don't understand. Like, obviously, again, like you said, not a doctor. I don't understand how throwing doesn't make that worse. The dude throws 102. Like, that's got to make it.
103.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's got to be a little bit worse. Obviously, if he gets cleared by, medical personnel and the Orioles feel like it's not a detriment to the rest of his career, I say go for it, but I would try and get him one more outing before the end of the regular season if they're serious about pitching him in the postseason.
That's fair. Maybe a non-save situation, something to
something to get
see.
working.
Yeah,
Like
I agree
I
with that.
genuinely don't know how that he could come back with a partially torn UCL. I mean, I guess people have done it. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. And then finally, Jack, what is the deal with ordering playoff tickets?
Dude, I'm gonna get my code tomorrow and I'm gonna get my allotted tickets and then I'm just gonna, hop on the general sale and we'll see what happens. Definitely gonna be at one though. I think, just that first
Is
game.
it at 1 o'clock?
I don't think they've released the times yet. I think they
I
still
was
have to
gonna
work
say because
out
I
the.
keep looking for my time that I'm supposed to as an orange level Birdland member. I keep
Oh,
looking
you
for my
mean no,
time.
they send you that tomorrow.
Okay. Here's the distressing news. So when we moved down Thursday night, we sat next to a guy by the name of Jason, I believe his name was. He's a listener of the pod. Um and he was talking to me and he was telling me that he bought a 29 game plan because then he's guaranteed playoff packages. And he said that orange level members, we are not guaranteed games. We're just getting early access. So we could theoretically get in for early access and there will be no tickets available.
That'd be bad.
That'd be really bad.
That'd be a bad look.
Yeah. Um, I'm really nervous, Jack. I know whatever time I'm allotted to go in, I am getting in immediately and buying everything that I can, which I think we can only buy one game per series. I think that's how they're doing it.
Yeah, so for orange level members, it's however many seats are on your plan. So 1, 2, or 3 seats. That's how many tickets you get for one game per series as an orange level member. Um, I don't know. It's a pretty convoluted system that they got going right now. But if you want more information, Orioles.com/postseason. I know all the big packages for higher level members, like that date has come and gone. I think that was last Friday.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that if you're an orange level member, emails are coming out tomorrow on when your time slot's going to be. And obviously, we don't know if the O's are going to be in the wild card or the divisional series to start. So the theory is like you buy your tickets for the wild card series and we win the division, you'll get your money fully refunded. Which is how it's been in the past. I know with like the 2016 wild card game, that's what happened with my tickets. Yeah, man, it's just kind of it's convoluted. Like, I wish it was just a little bit more cut and dry about people buying like that's one of the big sellers on why I got my season. I'm a first year season ticket holder this year.
Yeah.
This is a big part of why was this moment today. And I
Here's
hope
what I'm
that
a little annoyed with too is so the people who bought 2024 ticket plans are
get the
also going to
same.
get this early access.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm kind of like, hey, man, I've had mine now for this is my second year having a membership because I got it right after the COVID season. As soon as they opened up again, I was like, I'm getting my season ticket plan. Knowing that they were going to be awful, by the way. So no, this is year 3. This is year 3 of me having a ticket plan because I had 2021, 2022, and now 2023. So, and I'm sitting there going like, I bought that knowing they were going to be awful in 2021, not caring. I'm kind of like, okay, but now this person can just buy it for 2024 and get the same access I can. Where were
Yeah.
you in 2021?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was one of those people like last year when they had a shot at making the playoffs. I bought my
But at least you
package.
had tickets for this year. That's what I'm saying is at least you bought into this year going like, hey, this is going to be a good year. You're not suddenly like middle of the year going like, oh, the Orioles are good now. Maybe I should buy season
Ah,
tickets for next year so I can get postseason tickets this year.
yeah, I
Like
don't
you
know.
already bought in
No,
at the
I
start of the
mean,
season.
yeah, but you got to think like if you didn't have season tickets, like I mean, I know I would do the same thing.
Oh yeah,
So,
no, I would do the same thing, but I didn't.
well,
So I don't know.
well,
I'm a little worried about it. I'm stressing. My plan basically, Jack, though, is to get as many tickets as I can. And then for all the other games, like you said, I'm gonna go general sale. That's all probably gonna be sold out. But I'm gonna basically buy the cheapest tickets I can to spread out my money. I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably going to buy a lot of standing room only tickets and
Yeah.
do a lot of getting to the yard as early as possible and getting up on the railing at the flag court so I can just
Yeah.
stand there the entire game,
Yep.
because that's what I can afford to do. But
No
you know what?
peeing.
At least I'll be there.
No peeing by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh yeah. No. I'm not gonna be drinking any alcohol, any
Yeah.
water, nothing, because I'm gonna be like, I can't go to the bathroom. I'm gonna get to the front and not move.
Yeah. So this coming week, 3 against the Astros, 8-10 Monday, Tuesday, 2-10 on Wednesday, and then 4 against the Guardians. 3 night games, and then a day game on Sunday. And then we will talk to everybody again Sunday night? Or are you just going to be coming back?
No, I'll be coming back Friday, so I'll be good for Sunday.
Okay, so we'll talk to you all again Sunday night, and hopefully that magic number is close to 0.
Absolutely. Once again, Merry Clinchmas, everyone, and let's go O's.
Thank you, everybody.
You've been listening to UPod Street, an Orioles podcast by fans for fans. UPod Street is an official Birdland Sports affiliate. Directly support the pod by purchasing UPod Street or other Orioles merchandise using the link birdlandsports.com/UPod Street. Get 10% off your order when you use the code UPod Street. Follow us on Twitter at UPod Street and at JackBain20. UPod Street is also on Facebook and YouTube, and you can listen to the show on all major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. On whatever platform you listen, please subscribe, rate the pod, and leave a review. If you leave a review, we may even read it on the show. We'll see you next week, and of course, let's go O's.